What's going on, you guys? Welcome back to Traffish Aquatics. Today I'm sitting in front of the 125. Just fed these guys. Wanted to give you a little update on the 125 before we get into the main topic of the video, which is going to be the 300 gallon. So 125 is doing very well. Plants are coming in really nice. Fish are getting along great. No issues whatsoever. The angelfish keep spawning. The Apistogramma hongsloy, which is these guys right here, they keep spawning. And my Crebensis cichlids, which are back here, they actually have fry in here right now. They're about 3 weeks old. I'll put a little picture right here so you guys can see it, but everybody in here is doing great, and it's really good to see the Valsenarias growing up and coming across the top of the tank. Some of the Amazon swords getting real big. Everything's doing great. Super happy with this tank, really happy with the way it came out. But enough talk on the 125. Let's go talk about the 300 gallon. Alright guys, so we're out in the fish room, and this is the 300 gallon. If you saw my last video, you'll know that I took down two 20 gallon tanks and two 55 gallon tanks to make room for this monster. So one thing you're going to notice is in the last video also I said that I'm going to show you guys how I assembled this. And unfortunately, between the working time of the silicone, the assembly of everything, how much this weighs, how little room I had, I was not able to run a camera and put this together with the amount of time and space that I had. But it's still very easy to put together, and I am going to show you guys and walk you through how to assemble this. If you haven't seen the first two videos of how to build the wooden base and how to build and epoxy everything together, I'll include the links for those videos right up here. But as far as after that, very, very simple to do. So I guess we'll go ahead and we'll talk about that right now. Just go ahead and turn the light on real quick. So essentially what I had is I had a 300 gallon aquarium. This is a Marineland 300 double deep, which is 6 feet long by 3 feet front to back and 27 or 28 inches tall. And what had happened, if you've been following me for a while, is I got this tank for free. And as we were leaving the gentleman's house that was giving it to me, we dropped it, right? So it actually hit the ground and bounced, and when it came down to a final resting place, it was on the corner of a concrete step, and it blew the bottom out. So I decided, instead of trying to throw everything away, we're going to build a new base for it and bring this tank back to life. So I decided to go the route of a plywood bottom, and that is what we have here. So essentially all you need to do is you follow those two last videos that I showed you on how to assemble all the wood pieces and cut the wood pieces out, and then you follow the second video of how to epoxy everything using I believe this was a pond liner epoxy, which also works with silicone. Waterproof, very good product. I highly recommend it. It is a little bit pricey, but it's a lot cheaper than a glass bottom for an aquarium, and it's going to work just as well. So what I did is, the first thing is you want to get your aquarium centered on the base before you attach your frame rails. Once your aquarium is centered on the base, you can go ahead. I put screws in every 4 inches. So I shot screws through the rails into the base all the way around the aquarium. From that point, I took the tank and lifted it out of the base and set it on the side. So all I have now is the base with the frame rails attached. I cleaned up the glass really good, same way you would do with a reseal of an aquarium. Scrape it down with razor blades, a little bit of sandpaper to remove the fine film, some acetone. Make sure you get the glass really clean. And if you've never done a reseal or anything like that before and want to see how that's done, I'll also leave a link up here for you for that. But once you get all the glass really clean, your mating surfaces that are going to be inside of the frame, you're going to want to sand that down with 100 or 120 grit sandpaper really good. So basically where the glass is going to sit on top of the inside of the frame, you're going to sand that down really good. And then you're going to clean it with alcohol and vacuum it. Make sure there's no dust. You don't want anything to interfere with the bond of the silicone, the glass, and the epoxy. Once you have that all clean, you can then lay your bead of silicone. So you run your bead of silicone all the way around the frame on the inside, and then essentially all you do is pick up the glass and set it down into the silicone, and then any of the silicone that pushes out from underneath the glass, you can run your finger around the inside, and that will give you your inner seals. And then you just do the corner of this the same way you do in a reseal, which I posted that video above. So very, very easy to do. It's not very hard. And here we are. This is the 300-gallon aquarium version 2. Obviously it's not the original because the glass bottom is gone, but this is a plywood bottom aquarium. It's a very economical way of bringing a tank back to life that otherwise would be thrown in the garbage, right? So what we're going to be doing today is we are going to work slowly on filling this up and just doing a water test, and we'll see how it goes. Yeah, I still have to get lids for it, which I'm going to do a video on that. I found a nice product to make lids out of, especially because the prices of polycarbonate have gone through the roof. I'm going to be using a corrugated polycarbonate, so I'll show you guys that in another video. I'm also going to be enclosing this stand. That'll be another video. And then of course we're going to put sand in here, some live plants, maybe some fake plants, some big driftwood pieces, some big stone. You have a lot more options with a plywood bottom because you don't have to worry about breaking it. So we're going to make this thing look pretty nice, and then we're going to get my goldfish out of the pond, and they are going to have a nice happy life in here, and be able to get some more goldfish too. So that's the plan. That's what we're going to do. And if you guys didn't see already, this tank has an FX6 canister filter that I bought like 2 years ago and never got to use. So we're going to mount that on here, which you can see I've already got the hoses run. Just got to connect them underneath, and that'll be that. So let's go get some water and start putting it in here. Alright guys, so at this point we're at 225 gallons. It is the next day. I did stop and continue filling this after last night. Just to get up to the 200-gallon point, it probably took about almost 2 hours. So it does take quite a while to fill this thing. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to bring this up a little bit higher, and then I'm actually going to go get my substrate and start putting substrate in here. And then I'm going to look around and see what kind of hardscape I have. I know I have some nice driftwood logs that I would like to put in here. So once we get to that point, we'll start getting that stuff in. I'm going to bring the substrate in, and then we'll start adding all that in. Alright, so a little out of breath because I just brought in 2 whole tote bins full of substrate. And if you want to know what substrate I'm using, I have 2 bins full. We're going to be mixing pool filter sand and black diamond blasting sand. I may not have enough, but this is enough to get started. Also, you'll notice I've been storing this. That's how cold it is outside right now. We got ice. So definitely need to get this finished and set up so I can get the goldfish inside. So we're going to go ahead, we're going to start getting this in there and see where that gets us. Alright, so one thing I do want to touch on is you notice that the water that's in this substrate is kind of dirty. And the reason I left that in there, and the reason it is in there, is because all of this substrate came from all the tanks that I took down. So I didn't go out and purchase new substrate, I'm actually reusing what I had, which is going to do 2 things. If there was any beneficial bacteria left in the substrate, I'd be adding it to this tank, which would help me give me a jump start. And B, if the bacteria has died off, it's going to give me an ammonia source to be able to start cycling this aquarium, which will also act as a food source for the pre-established filter media that I'm going to be adding to get this thing jump-started right away. I'm also going to be adding, like I said, a bottle of Fritz Turbo Start. So this thing should be up and running pretty quickly. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to start dumping this in. And I am going to be mixing it between the two colors to give more of a natural look. It's not going to be black, but it's not going to be tan. It's going to be somewhere in the middle. So we're going to go ahead and start putting it in. And as always, one of the easiest ways that I've found to move substrate is a dustpan. Alright guys, so it's the next day. As you can see, the water has cleared, but I am having a large bacterial bloom right now, which is completely normal for a new tank. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to add in a couple of the hardscape stones. The driftwood is in there. My camera died when I was putting the stump in there, so I'll pull that up just to show you guys real quick and then put it right back in. And then I do have my hardscape stones, which I would show you, but they're like this big, so I'm not going to pick them up here and hold them out. You'll just see them as I put them in. But yeah, let's get that in. So I'll show you guys that stump. Pull it up real quick. Get it closer. We got some root systems on it. It's got a big twist in it, and it looks awesome. So happy to have this. Like I said, some of these stones are quite large, so what I'm going to do now is I'm actually going to go out and get the fish out of the pond, which it's just about dark, so you guys aren't going to see me do that, but I'm going to bring them in. I'm going to have them in a bucket. I'm going to acclimate them to room temperature in here because it is about 40 to 35 degrees outside. So I'll slowly acclimate them to the temperature in here, and then once we get this all set up with all the plants, the stones, the driftwood, I'm going to add the pre-cycled sponges that I have. I'm going to add them, probably one in this corner, one in that corner, and maybe one along the side back here. And I'm going to add in the bottle of Turbo Start 700 just as a backup. But because we do have a large bacterial bloom right now, probably don't even need it, but I'm going to put it in anyway because I have it. And this tank should clear up in a day or two, and everybody will be happy and healthy. So I just realized I don't even have a bucket to go out and go get my fish, so we're going to be adding in an entire 5-gallon bucket of subwasser tang into the back right hand corner of this tank. Alright guys, so basically I put in the hardscape and everything is set up just about the way I want it. Because I can't see the back of the tank because how cloudy it is, I may tweak it a little bit once it clears up. I do have an entire 5-gallon bucket of Java moss, which was in the 55-gallon tank that was up here. So I have a lot of it, and I'm probably going to put it in here so it'll grow across that driftwood in the back. I think that'll look really cool. So I'm going to put that in there once this clears up so I can actually see what I'm doing. And then right now I'm going to add in the Fritz Turbo Start. So this was given to me by somebody that I was helping out, and I really do appreciate them giving it to me. And I'm going to go ahead, I'm going to dump this into the tank, and I'm going to let that cycle for about 24 hours. I'll check parameters tomorrow. I do have all of the fish from the pond right here in a bucket, and they are drip acclimating right now. So once they're acclimated by tomorrow, and this tank will be ready by tomorrow, I can go ahead and introduce them into the tank. So we'll go ahead and we'll get this in right now. Just to show you, sealed. Oh, that smells like prime. So we'll go ahead and we'll dump that in there. Before I dump it all in, give it a good shake. Get the rest of it in there. And that's that. So I'm going to go ahead, I'm going to wait one more day, and then I'm going to go ahead and get the fish in here as long as everything checks out right on parameters as far as ammonium nitrite and nitrate, which I imagine it will, because I do have 2 pre-established sponge filters in here, the substrate from other tanks, as well as some stones from other tanks, and the driftwood is all from my pond outside, so that's all going to be established as well. So this should establish relatively quickly, so we'll check it tomorrow, and if everything's good, we'll get the fish in there. Alright guys, so it is 24 hours later. As you can see, this is clearing up pretty well. It still is a little hazy, but it actually looks a lot clearer than it did yesterday. Also, I think the lighting might be affecting it, because it looks way worse on camera than it does in person. I'll see if I can get a better shot of it here real quick.
So you guys can probably see here it looks a lot less cloudy than it does at the other camera angle. You can actually see through and outside.
So you can probably see there it's actually a lot clearer than what you can see right here. The fish have been acclimating overnight. The temperatures between their water and this water are within a degree, so we're good in that aspect. And I checked the water parameters. We have no ammonia, no nitrite, and we have 40 nitrate. So tank conditions are good. It still is a little cloudy, but it's probably 75% better than it was yesterday. So it'll probably end up being clear by tomorrow or the next day. So I'm going to go ahead. We're going to add these fish in. We've got some fish back in my wife's office that we're going to take out of there and put them in here also. And then in the future, we're probably going to get some more goldfish to build up a pretty nice goldfish community in this 300 gallons. So let's go ahead and get those fish in there and give them their new home. Alright guys, so the last thing I added in there was a big ball of Java moss. I had it sitting here, so I put it in there. I'm going to spread it out a little bit to get it to go over all the stones and then the driftwood pieces, so it really looks nice, gets a lot of green carpet in there. So all the fish are added, all the plants are in. This is basically how it's going to look set up complete in the end. So yeah, that's the 300 gallon finally set up. Pretty stoked about that. So now we just got to go out and get some more goldfish. But I know this video was a little long. I hope you guys enjoyed it. As always, thank you guys for watching Traffish Aquatics. Links, as always, in the description down below. And I'll see you guys in the next video.